My name is Shelley Breedlove, and this is my Storytime in a Box for LS 5343 at Texas Women's University. My box is themed around frogs and toads and has been created to be appropriate for ages 5 to 7 with activities that are centered around science, writing, and counting skills. The first part of my box is an inventory list, which lists all of the contents of the box, as well as any other materials which may need to be gathered from other areas of the library to complete the activities within this box. I didn't put any items that would be stored elsewhere in the library, such as glue, scissors, and coloring utensils in each bag, but I did create a bag to represent those items as well. Next is the Storytime song that is to be sung to the tune of Skip to My Lou. The purpose of the song is to get all of the children to hear and see that it's time for story time to begin. The lyrics are simple and can easily be memorized to read, to sing before each story time. I have a story, what can it be? I have a story, listen and see. I have a story, what can it be? Gather around and read with me. After that, I have all of my days for this frog and toad unit separated into bags with individual instructions and the name of the book that is to be read with them for each day. The instructions are clear and concise with illustrations when necessary. Also, the bags are numbered to reduce confusion and make familiarizing yourself with this box as well as checking for all the pieces of the box as quick and painless as possible. For day one of this Storytime box, I selected From Tadpole to Frog, a book which focuses on the scientific process of the frog's life cycle. I chose this book because it is worded simply enough for the age level targeted for this story time while still sharing accurate scientific terms and information and contains real photography to further explain the life cycle process. I chose a life cycle card sort to be the activity to go with this book in order to further concrete the life cycle process for Storytime participants. For day two, I chose the toad because it contains scientific information about toads but uses funny illustrations to convey its information. Since this book also contains scientific information but mentions several numbers and amounts in its collection of facts, I decided to connect a counting activity to this story time. This simple activity of rolling dice and putting Play-Doh spots on the frog or toad to represent the number on the dice reinforces counting skills and can be supplemented by adding in a second die and having the children practice addition skills to figure out how many spots to put on their frog if desired. Day three gets a little silly with Toad on the Road. This story is a silly narrative about a toad chasing a fly in the road who keeps causing other animals to have accidents while trying to avoid hitting him until a toad in a truck, his mom, tells him to get out of the road because he could get hurt. To tie into this book full of hopping, swerving, and movement, I selected a group of fun physical activities that require no supplies other than a large enough space to do the activities in. The games are all frog-toad versions of classic children's games that most of the children may likely already be familiar with, which will reduce instruction time. Day four is a book filled with photos of real frogs that focuses on describing the physical appearance and actions of frogs. This book is full of adjectives and verbs to describe frogs, which is why I chose it to tie in with the frog-toad synquane activity. A synquane is a 5-line poem which has specific rules for how each line is written, and children can write their poems using their own words or pull their poem lines straight from the Storytime book. The first line is one word that describes the topic of the poem. In this case, the word would be frog or toad. The second line is two words that are adjectives or describing words about the first line. The sample I had used the words slimy and small. The third line contains three verbs or action words that describe activities the subject of the poem would do. The sample I had used the words eating, hiding, and chomping. The fourth line of the poem is a short phrase that describes something the subject of the poem likes to do. The sample I had used the phrase loves to climb trees. The final line of the poem is a one-word synonym that also describes the subject of the poem. The example that I had used the word amphibian. For day 5, I chose the story Toad Weather. This story is a lovely story of a mother that gets grandmother and daughter to come out with her into the evening rain to see something that she saw on the way home. The grandmother does not enjoy the journey, as the mom points out all the pretty colors of the umbrellas and the worms coming out due to the rain as they walk. They finally come to a place in the road that has been shut down due to massive amounts of toads crossing the road. This is because it is during their mating season, and on rainy evenings during this season, the toads must cross the road to get from their regular habitat to the pond where they mate and lay their eggs. The girl and her mother and grandmother decide to join in with the other people and begin to ferry the frogs a few at a time to the safety of the pond. While the story is a fictional tale, it's based on a real phenomenon that happens every year in a neighborhood in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. To tie into this last book and have a fun take-home item for the final day of the Storytime theme, I chose to have the children make frog-toad headbands. This is my Storytime in a box. I hope you enjoyed it.